Negeri, Indonesia. He also did special courses in development of local societies, Arab League 1997, and crisis management, Swedish National Academy of Defense in 2006 from Stockholm, Sweden. His professional experience includes a stint in the Foreign Ministry as attaché from 1992 to 1993, in the Syrian mission to the United Nations from 1994 to 1995 in New York, in the Syrian mission to the Arab League as assistant representative from 1996 to January 2000 in Cairo, Egypt, in the Foreign Ministry as director of the private office of Minister of State for Foreign Affairs from January 2000 to January 2002, in the Syrian embassy in Moscow, Russian Federation as first secretary, again as in charge of CIS from 2002 November to 2003, as first secretary, Media and Economy Affairs from December 2003 to 2007 in Syrian embassy, Stockholm, as director of the Office of Assistant Foreign Minister from 2007 November 2009 in the Foreign Ministry, as Charge d'Affaires from 2009 to 2014 in Syrian Embassy, Jakarta, Indonesia, as Director of Private Office of Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2014 to December 2016 in the Foreign Ministry, as Ambassador Muscat, the Sultanate of Oman from December 2016 to May 2022, and currently the Ambassador of the Syrian Arab Republic to India since May 2022. Also as Ambassador of the Syrian Arab Republic to the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, non-resident since June 2023. Here I want to mention that this university is really privileged to have Dr. Bassam Safeddin Al-Khatib, His Excellency Ambassador, in this university, where he had the privilege of meeting the founder president of this university. And sir, with us, our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor P.K. Nanda is there. Now I will request our Vice Chancellor, Professor P.K. Nanda, sir, to kindly address the audience. Sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for inviting me. His Excellency, Dr. Bassam Safeddin Al-Khatib, the Honorable Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Syria to India. Welcome to our session, SOAFAL session, and all our distinguished participants, delegates, and all our students, faculty members, and guests. It's my pleasure to also share some of the facts about our university before His Excellency. He has visited our university. Our university started the institute in 1996 with handful of faculty and students. Over the years, it grew and became university in July 17, 2007. And currently, we have 10 institutes under the ambit of this university. And yes, we have more than 16,000 students and 1,400 faculty members in this university. We have 1,100 research scholars across different disciplines. We have established 60 research labs, 18 research centers. And for NRF ranking, we are positioned this year in 15th position by NRF, Government of India, as university category. Our engineering institute is 27th, and our Faculty of Medical Science is 16th rank. Two of our institutes, Faculty of Legal Studies and Faculty of Law, Faculty of Dental Science, they are placed within top 10 in the country in the NRF ranking. And also, we have been visible international in the QS and the TH ranking also. And we have organized several lecture series, several conferences, and also seminars. And many international conferences also organized during the year. Every year we organize, span across different disciplines. And this is a particularly, this kind of lecture series started 3 years back. And particularly this at the university level and the department level also different lecture series is going on. And this year's theme, as the Dr. Sharma has actually coined it, it is Maritime Studies. And all the lectures in this series are on maritime studies, so that will eventually publish the book. Once again, I welcome His Excellency Dr. Bassam Saifuddin Al-Khatib to our this lecture series, and wish that this lecture will be a very kind of valuable and also memorable lecture for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words. Now it is my proud privilege to request today's speaker, His Excellency Dr. Bassam Saifuddin Al-Khatib, Honorable Ambassador of the Arab Republic of Syria to India, to speak on today's topic, the maritime relations between India and Oman, history towards future. Welcome you, sir. Thank you. Now the platform is all yours.
I thank you so much for giving me the floor to be all mine, but I would love to repeat my first signal to yourselves to say Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaskar.
Namaste, sir.
It's the Indian way of sending the heartily thanks and the gratitude through adding the right and the left at the same time, putting the hands, giving the same equality to the both sides, right and left, and to send the peaceful signature. Namaste again. Why are we talking about the maritime relation between India and Oman? And why are we concentrating on this very issue as long as we are talking about very old civilizations? Why concentrating on maritime relations? It's because we can summarize the history by saying that the relation between those two civilizations started some in the 4th millennium before Christ. So we are talking about approximately more than about 6,000 years of contact between those maritime borders. It's something worth to talk about. Personally, as a researcher, why am I choosing this? Because luckily, I lived in both regions. I read about the two regions, and I can say that this is a proof concerning the interaction between civilizations, especially when it comes to the seashore, the Indian Ocean, and the geopolitical and geographic position for those two civilizations. Let me try to concentrate on my point is, the aim of this research is to say deep historical relations could help build a new, better future, especially when it comes to a wider path to build such an interaction, which is the maritime border. For Oman and India, both are important maritime countries, having long coastline in both cases. For Oman, the case is more than 3,000 kilometers, and for India, more than 7,500 kilometers between the mainland and the other borders. Well, India is the first and the most important country Omanis reached when they started going abroad. Again, the relations between those two coastal and maritime areas goes back to the prehistoric time till the day we are giving this lecture. The relation for Oman started with Mesopotamia, the Arab Peninsula, and then India. Later on, under the British Empire, both countries were under this empire, but after that, both countries kept these historical relations to go for the future. Later on in the area of Mesopotamia, in the text of Larza, well known in the area, it mentioned some goods coming from India to Oman and other goods coming from Oman to India. When it comes
Excellency, sorry to interrupt you. Your slide is not moving. The first slide is only visible on the screen.
Okay, so I will move to this. Thank you so much for mentioning.
Yes.
Now we are talking about...
Yes. Now the second slide. Oman, India, geography and geopolitics. Yes.
Absolutely. Just to clarify the closeness between the two nations, now let's talk about the Arabian Sea, the Gulf of Aden, going back to the Indian Ocean. We can say that the area between Mumbai in India and Muscat, the Sultanate of Oman, was a direct route since prehistoric time. It's only 1,500 kilometers moving from here, there, and vice versa. Between also the distance between the port of Mundra and the port of Suhar is something like 1,300 kilometers. That was, I mean, this distance, this relation started from the times of prehistory till the day we are given this lecture. Moving on to the other information I'm delivering, talking about the relation between the Indus Basin and the city, the country of Majan. Majan is the old name of Oman. For those texts I'm talking about, there were indications and mentioning of goods brought from into both countries. We are concentrating on this idea to think of a relation that started from a very long time till this very day, so we can call it deep, historic, maritime, and fruitful for both. Commercial relations also started at that time, so let's put it in summary, a very old relation that goes back to the period of 4 BC. History of India relations. In summary, we could say that only last month, India extended an invitation to the Sultan of Oman to attend the G20 and to participate as a historical partner. The Indian Navy has always provided Indian-made, very good quality and high-speed patrol boats. This is an example of the relation between the two navies, starting from that old time till this very current day. Proceeding in this question of historical relation, Omanis and Indians were all over historical times very well known, being a maritime nation with maritime supremacy. And it's mentioned even in the times of the Sumerian and the Babylon. People from the Sindh and the Gujarat were familiar with the area of Oman and vice versa. Once upon a time, there were something like 10,000 inhabitants coming to India, living there, walking there from Oman and Hadramut. Later on, they became a component of the culture in India. Of course, both armada were very well known through history. I could say something about the Indian Ocean. It's the only ocean in the world taking the name of the Indian subcontinent, but it has other importance. The other importance has many factors like natural resources, the commercial routes, the security importance, and the resources like gas and oil, the energy, all kinds. So in this regard, we need to consider that Oman and India are very important and good partners. In general, this lecture tries to present this historical relation and then speaks about the continuous communication when it comes to trade, buy and sell and mediation, then the communities in both countries who lived in the country and became a very important ingredient. Later on, during the time of late Sultan Qaboos bin Said, India was a priority. Just let's imagine that Qaboos, during his youth, studied in India. Qaboos studied in India, and his guru, or his teacher, if we could say so, became the president of India. So India, historically speaking, is one of the most visited places for Omanis. And the main reason behind this is the maritime closeness. The people of Oman studied the monsoon, which has come a very well-known Indian expression, and the regular visits and trips were something known for both countries. A Greek heritage and architecture and literature mentions the book of the Erythraean Ocean, and it tells that Indian ships used to reach the port of Sumahram. Sumahram was the eldest port in Oman, coming from Indian ports and bringing goods important for the Omanis. Also, India was an open market for the Omanis, and they sent at that time some spices and some precious stones and some food, and most important of all, horses. One area in the Indus Valley was inhabited by a majority of Omanis and Hadramis. At that time, it was called Arabataya, mentioning that those people were Arabs. Why India sees importance in Oman? It's because, historically speaking, it had two routes to travel, to sell, buy, and exchange experiences and goods. One in the Arabian Gulf and the other one in the Red Sea. Indians were very clever discovering the other worlds. So they knew the importance of the geopolitical and geographical position of India. In the 19th century, for example, the Omani fleet was considered the second largest after the British fleet that controlled the maritime borders one way or another in India and Oman also. Omanis used to learn from the Indian experience when it comes to building vessels. Strictly speaking, because the wood coming from India was the best. But the experience of building ships, vessels in India also was important for the Omanis. The example is, the Omanis did not use the nails in building the vessels. Why? Because they understood that the wood in India is very good, but it was the coconut. And they did not use the nails because when it comes to the rock coast, the vessel will go away. So they had their own experience in building smaller vessels, but without nails, due to the danger of craft. Once again, researchers believe that Omanis arrived in India. They had a very active trade relation with India. Also, Indians came there. Some examples in this regard. Alain Villiers is a historian in maritime issues, and he mentioned the boats he traveled in, something like 1930, and he describes that region was able to build vessels with 3,000 bags and 5 till 600 tons and carried 400 men. Marco Polo also mentioned the port of Dhofar. He said it was an important place for exporting one of the most important Omani commodities in the Middle East. India knows Jamal Musawi. Jamal Musawi is the director of the National Museum of Oman, and he is a close friend of mine. And before coming to India, he mentioned that, Ambassador Bassam, we will miss you in Oman, but you are very lucky to be in India, because we had a kind of family historical relation with India. He concentrated and he showed me documents about this relation, the historical relation to the Indus Valley civilization. Jean-Charles de Coen is also a specialist, and he spoke in the middle of the Ninth Century about the relation between the two countries. Many Arab historians spoke and proved this thing. I will not be going into all the names, but easily speaking, it's a well-proved historical relation that started from the very old times till today. Are we talking about trade only? But are we talking about ports only? Let's say that we are talking about ports of civilizational interaction. The ports of Muscat, Mutra, Kalhat always hosted Indian merchants, and they lived there, they worked there, and now we can say that we have many famous Omani families who are originally Indians who came to Oman and lived there through all the times of history. I would love to concentrate here on Abu Sa'id state, the grandfather of the current Sultan of Oman. They always had a very good relation with Indian business people and merchants. Just let me mention that even during the division of the Empire of Oman into two sections, Asian in Muscat and Oman, and African in Zanzibar. At that time, people responsible for customs and administration of trade and economy were Indians. At the same time, to prove the question of civilization, we could mention that some Omani important personalities of political disfranchised came and lived in India when they had some political problems in Oman. The examples are Turki bin Said and Salim bin Suwaidi. They died in India. And Abdul Aziz bin Said, who died also in India, not that late, 1907. Now, this is an old map that speaks about Indian Ocean trade routes. I will be trying to tell you that. Please follow this. This is Calicut. This is Goa. And this is Bombay. And you know from Bombay, many routes go to the world. But we could see if you will handle this, just see this. This is going directly to the current area of Arabia. It goes like this. You could see, read here Muscat and here Bombay. Just 5 minutes earlier, I mentioned that the whole distance between the two places is something like 1,500 kilometers. What is Oman and the Gulf regional system? After the withdrawal of the British colonization power and the independence of Oman, a new formation of Gulf regional system started, the 70s of last century. And Oman emerged as a power with a very rich history, especially when it comes to the maritime issues. After the British, the Americans started to control the place, to have their effect, but American foreign policy in the region was not that successful to guarantee stability to the region. Then old relations emerged, historical relation emerged, and in this regard we could talk about the historical relation between India and Oman. Omanis and Indians kept on developing this relation to the level that we can see nowadays. Very good relation, having mutual collaboration in supporting maritime economy, fighting terrorism, and protecting the waterways in the region with Oman. Now, what is Oman for geography? Those are the main names of the historical ports in Oman. This side, just imagine India here and going into very good relation with those cities. Oman could be described as the gateway of Strait of Hormuz. The defense cooperation has emerged as a key pillar for the robust India-Oman strategic partnership. Defense exchanges are guided by a framework of MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between the two countries, renewed recently. Oman is the only country in the Gulf region which all the three services of the Indian Armed Forces can conduct regular bilateral exercises. Oman also participates in the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, ION. There is a strategic relation between the two countries. India has secured access to the key port of Duqm in Oman for military use and logistical support. Now India has the right to take advantage of all the facilities in this very important port. It's strategic, it's important for all reasons like security, maritime operations, and even doing business. Now India, on the basis of this very good experience, maritime experience, now is considering constructing 1,000 kilometers underwater natural gas pipeline from Oman to India. India and Oman are linked by geography, history, culture, and interest. They enjoy warm and cordial relations. People-to-people contact between the two countries, as we mentioned, goes back more than 5,000 years ago. Diplomatic relations are very good now and upgraded to strategic partnership only in 2008. As I mentioned, Qaboos studied in India, and his teacher was Mr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, who later became the President of India. It's not a coincidence that this brotherly relation, historical relation, has such prominent stages. The Sultan studied at the hands of the President. Maybe this is a good significance of this relation. Back again, let's see the world and let's see the two neighbors. This is India. Imagine this coastal line, and this is Oman. Also imagine this coastal line. So whenever or wherever you choose, it will be a short distance for interaction between the two countries. Indian strategic perspective out in about the Gulf. There is a researcher called Mr. Kadura, and he speaks about the Arab Center for Research and Policy Studies. He tells about geopolitical importance of the Gulf in India's strategy, but he concentrates on Oman to say that it's the best partner. Also, the Indian researcher, Mr. Umair Anas, repeats this very idea, but he calls directly to improve the relations between India and West Asia. In this regard, he calls India to go directly, and he encourages India to go directly to Oman as a gate for the global map. Now India is doing this because it aims to benefit from the presence of a strong back in the Indian Ocean, Oman, which is geographically very close to it, especially in containing the growing Chinese influence in the ocean. A good port, a good location, a good coast, a good partner is Oman in this regard. We need to mention that the geographical closeness of Oman to another important country, which is Iran, is a factor that the foreign policy of India is considering and considering. Also, there is an attempt to launch a gas pipeline project between India and Iran that passes underwater through Oman instead of the other country, Pakistan. Now let's concentrate on the both countries and the important idea. The two countries are linked by geography and history. Historical maritime trade linkages could be a good way to start to a better future. Gandhi Peace Prize 2019 was conferred to late Sultan Qaboos due to his participation in boosting the relations between the two countries. For the presence of Oman in the GCC, it's important to realize that the Oman foreign policy has a kind of independence. The Omanis, they take their own decisions. They don't follow blindly the regional policies. That's why they have managed to keep the best of relations with India, historically speaking. Once upon a time, Oman used the Indian rupiah till even the 60s of last century. Another signal was when the ships from the Indian and Omani Navy moved in the same direction as a gesture of a pride of the relation of the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. It's a long history, it's a deep history, it's a rich history, it's a gate for a better future. We could say that it's a tie that has been always firm between the coasts of the two countries, India and Oman. Al-Busaidi dynasty is still there, so the history is kept moving to a better future. Well, we need to be speaking about some realistic issues from realities. The issue of energy security is very important for India, and it's linked to the maritime security. There is a kind of growing interdependence between the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Gulf in economy, military issues, and strategic terms. That thing is important for both countries. India, seeking a peaceful foreign policy, could take advantage of the relation with Oman because India is accepted there. India does not have any colonial past. Oman has the same. Oman is a peaceful country seeking peace in the neighborhood and in the world. And that's a good basis for both countries. For India to equalize China's influence beyond South Asia, India could consider West Asia very well. Oman is very important in this regard. India can rely in this field on its growing relations, especially in recent years, with the United States. The United States, with this good relation with India, will give the chance to India and to Oman to participate in the regional movements to keep peace in the region. There are 3 points to mention here. The nature of military cooperation between the United States and India, the importance of India's development of the military power, especially when it comes to the naval forces, then it will be able to perform more influential foreign missions, to form a military cooperation between the Gulf countries and India. In this regard, we could mention the recent visits of His Excellency Ajit Doval and the meetings in Oman and in the region as an apparent development in this regard. See this map. Those are the main ports of India. Historically speaking, many of them used to have the best of relations with Oman. There are many things common between the two countries, but in this regard we are concentrating on the maritime issues. There is a cooperation agreement in the field of maritime transport. This agreement seeks to facilitate the establishment of joint projects in the fields of maritime transport, ship building, repair and recycling, maritime training, and maritime information technology applications, and to take all necessary measures to facilitate and encourage international maritime transport. Just imagine now, we are talking about a very modern agreement, but it uses the same terms and the same fields of the historical maritime relation with Oman. Once upon a time, the Omani transportation area reached the region, the neighborhood here. Even the port of Gawadar once was Omani, but till the late 60s became Pakistani, and people at that time were given the chance to have the citizenship they liked. But this is only an example to say that those two countries, those two great nations, India and Oman, have had always supremacy when it comes to maritime relations. Now India is becoming global, and it's becoming one of the most global powers in the world. India started this way of thinking to become more powerful in the year 2003 approximately, and it was the 20-year plan approved by the Prime Minister of India at that time, handling the Indian military capabilities to be developed. Now, I would love to mention that now we are in 2023. So already the 20-year plan is approximately finished, but now we follow the news about the innovation, the inventions, and the new technologies used in the Indian military capabilities. It's based on building conventional military force, more developed Indian Navy, where could be used for better existence globally. The submarines of India recently participated in international efforts to combat piracy, the Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea, and they had very good cooperation with Oman. Defense relations go back deeply in history. Once upon a time, the Sultan of Oman asked for the help of one of the Indian sultans. He gave him the help to keep the stability of Oman, and then the Sultan of Oman at that time gave a part, a land in the capital of Oman, Muscat, where an Indian castle was built at that time. Without going into much details, we could say that the defense relations are very strong between very good friends. Defense has two partners. Oman is a defense partner in the Gulf region and defense cooperation partner for the future. Mentioning some new developments, recently, August 2022, a 13 days joint military exercise was held in Rajasthan, participation of Oman and India. In recent years, both countries cooperated for ensuring military security in the Indian Ocean region. In this regard, a meeting for the Joint Maritime Committee was held on 23 February 2022. The Omani Military Technical College received the Chief of Staff of the Indian Navy recently, Lieutenant Harry Kumar, July 31st, 2023, only some weeks ago, to discuss the academic facilities and cooperation. Many memorandums of understanding were signed between the two sides. The Sultanate of Oman and India signed a military agreement to enhance military security, exchange information during the visit of the Chief of the Indian Naval Staff, Hari Kumar Singh, 2021. During the visit of the Omani Foreign Minister to New Delhi last March 2023, he agreed with the Indian counterpart to protect navigation in the Arabian Sea. Enhancing joint cooperation in these fields, both share the waters of the Arabian Sea and have an important role in security and safety of maritime navigation in the region. Let's put it in some sentences. India has been always engaged into trade since ancient times through its maritime routes. There are evidence of Harappan civilization that had commercial ties with Mesopotamia, Arabian Gulf region, and Oman. Many Omani navigators and travelers to India have recognized the flourishing of coastal Indian states on account of the trade in spice, cotton, handicraft, silk via oceanic routes in the Indian Ocean. Culture was a link between the two countries. Civilizations of India offered weapons, timber, wood, stones, and seals to Oman. Ancient Oman was the link between the civilizations of Nile Valley, Mesopotamia on the one hand, civilizations of Indus Valley on the other. Undoubtedly, that was the only means to transfer civilizations of Mina, Babylon, and Susa to India. It was Oman. I would love to say something about the port of Duqm in Oman. It's a future strategic port if India wants to strengthen the existence in the region. India has secured access to the key port of Duqm in Oman for military use, logistical support, and this is the part of India's maritime strategy to counter others' influence in the region. The port of Duqm is situated on the southeastern seaboard of Oman, overlooking the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean also. It's strategically located in close proximity to the Chabahar port of Iran. And everybody knows that India wanted to use the port of Chabahar in Iran as another strategic post to be in the region, with the base island being developed in other countries in the neighborhood. What should be done for the future? Let's say that Oman's Duqm port is situated in the middle of international shipping lanes connecting East with West Asia. India needs to engage with Oman and take initiative to utilize opportunities arising out of Duqm port in the industrial city. There is big competence from Europe and China in the port of Duqm. India should also work closely with Oman to enhance strategic depth in the region and add heft to its Indo-Pacific vision into western and southern part of Indian Ocean. An Indian submarine entered the port of Duqm recently, escorted by the INS Mumbai and two P-8 long-range maritime patrol aircraft to say that India is there. Regarding the strategic oil reserves near Duqm, Oman, the Indian Prime Minister reiterated India's invitation to Oman to participate in building the strategic oil reserves in India. Late Sultan Qaboos briefed the Indian Prime Minister in their meeting then about the Oman initiative to establish strategic oil reserves at Ras Al Markaz near Duqm. India was invited to be there. Well, what are the ways to strengthen the maritime relations between Oman and India? The recommendations of the researcher starts with looking beyond the economic approach, make it a panoramic and more comprehensive relation. Strengthening security ties. Security is security of everything, including the security of the transportation, the energy, and other kinds of security. Military cooperation is very important here. The other recommendation is boosting the partnership with the Gulf Cooperation Council. Oman is an essential part of this. And there is a kind of need of balanced approach, which is given the complex nature of the political situation in the region, it will be wise for India to continue pursuing balanced relations with the main actors there. Oman, in this regard, is globally well known for balanced stances. The recent announcement of a US-backed rail and shipping project linking India with the Middle East and Europe is seen as a challenge to Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. The India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor was announced on the sidelines of the recently concluded G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi beginning of September. Among the ports that could be connected on the west coast of India are Mundra, Gujarat, Kandla, Gujarat, and Jawaharlal Nehru also. Those three ports are very near potential ports to have cooperation with Oman. And then there should be a need to prepare for a longer period of tension between the Gulf Cooperation Council countries and Iran. India could take a balanced position in this regard. India has common interests with both sides, and this tension is likely to continue in the future. Therefore, India will have to prepare to maintain this balance of relations between Iran and the Gulf countries. Apparently, Oman, the historical friend and partner, has always had a good relation with India. What is the way forward? India will need more energy resources because the rapidly moving economy of India will always need this. Oman could be a reserve for this, especially as long as India declared with Oman the need to boost the national hydrogen mission. The good relations with Oman, especially when it comes to maritime security and energy security, will be helping India in having its wider Indo-Pacific vision in the western and southern part of Indian Ocean. India is doing all the best to renovate its naval diplomacy. And innovate means that India understood well the historical diplomacy with Oman, and now India is doing a new modernized kind of diplomacy, naval maritime diplomacy. Oman is proposed to be an important part in this regard. Of course, the Indian fleet is being modernized, but Oman could be a destination there. And then, once again, the Duqm port, we are not repeating this, but we need to mention that only in last June 29, 2023, the National Security Advisor, Ajay Doval, visited Oman, visited this strategic port of Duqm to study the potential for India to be there. The two sides are said to have expressed satisfaction with the ongoing bilateral security cooperation in many areas, including combating terrorism, information sharing, capacity building. The Prime Minister expressed his appreciation for the support provided by the Omani security agencies on, and I quote here, certain issues of security importance to India. Maritime security is to be confirmed. In short, I will be trying to finish this presentation in some sentences. Indian-Omani maritime relation is based on common values and the grounds of common interest. Both countries are among the strongest supporters of peace and harmony among nations. Both seek to consolidate friendships with everyone without hostility vis-à-vis everyone. Given the maritime proximity between the two countries, they have common interest to maintain coordination, cooperation, security, and peace. Bilateral and multilateral interaction has continued in the Arab Sea, Indian Ocean, and Indo-Pacific region. The maritime wide range of issues and interest in a trade exchange, civilization interaction, historical friendship, stability has always produced continuously a broader future vision for both India and Oman. The potentials of more closer maritime ties between the two countries are still existing on the two sides of the ocean. Oman and India have been there, they should be always there. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for such an erudite talk. It is really a privilege to witness a very scholastic and erudite ambassador speaking on India-Oman maritime relations. I was really thrilled that the way you covered so extensively and comprehensively the maritime relations between India and Oman, as if for a time being I forgot that I am listening to an erudite professor. So thank you very much, Excellency. And we will be taking few questions. There is a hand by Yara Al-Khatib. So first you ask your question, then we will go to the chat box and other questions we can take. Yes, Yara. Please unmute yourself and ask the question. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Bassam. So I have a question, please.
Please.
What do you think is the future of the maritime relations between Oman and India in the current geopolitical climate and the rising global tension?
Wow, I need to mention for the audience that Dr. Yara is my daughter.
Okay, welcome, Dr. Yara. Welcome to the university. Next time, you must accompany the Excellency to our university.
Excellency, I need to tell you two things. Yara lived in Oman and India and adored both. And she is coming to India the beginning of October. And she will absolutely visit you.
Okay. Sure.
For your question, Yara. Now Yara is speaking from Germany, by the way.
Okay.
She is doing her doctorate in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, for realistic geopolitics nowadays, every nation should find all factors that make the nation stronger. Using and understanding history of maritime relations could be a kind of added value to build the future. India only recently, last week, was an important part of the corridor that connects between India and Europe, but between them comes the Middle East. As a great nation, India understood that the need and the importance and the significance of the maritime routes and pathways. So I can tell you, I can confirm that India can do this alone without the help of bigger nations. It takes time, yes. There are challenges, yes. But be sure that the nation that succeeded something like 6,000 years ago to go to our region, to have the best of relations, and to have some very prominent figures even in the leadership of Oman and other countries, now they have become Omani nations, will be able to shape the future of the world. You know, India is the pharmacy of the world. I can tell you that India is the food security center of the world, and simply speaking, brothers in India can make everything to produce it to the developing countries. I hope that I gave you the answer.
I hope Excellency has explained your question, Dr. Yara. So we'll go to the next question in the chat box. What are the major Indian and Omani ports involved in bilateral maritime trade, and what goods are commonly exchanged? This is a question from Sif Patnaik. Excellency.
You know, I just want to go back to show you this. Yes. Excellency, if the map is clear, I want you to follow the arrow. You could hear Bombay. That goes directly, you could hear Muscat. But for history, there were other ports. So the city of Suhar, or the port of Suhar, in the Middle Ages, and even before this, was a very important port to connect between India and Oman. Only recently, the country that has a big project to improve and modernize the port of Suhar is India. Then, I spoke something about Sumahram. Sumahram was the best or the most prominent port at the time of Majan, the old name of Oman. Sumahram was also known to have the connection with all other nations. I would concentrate in this regard on the Kerala. Why am I talking about Kerala? You can never go to any activity in Oman, institution, mall, shop, road, any activity without meeting an Indian coming from Kerala. At that time, it was one of the civilizational centers. I don't call it only a port. It was a kind of civilizational interaction between the two countries. For example, I will be reading a poem by Nina Alexander. She is an Indian poet, well known to write about the Indian Ocean and the region. By the way, I also need to mention something. She is coming from a Syrian origin.
Oh.
She's a poet. She belongs to the Syrian church in Kerala. She knows our region. She knows Syria, Oman, the Indian Ocean, and it lies in her poetry and love. Just imagine that this lady traveled a lot to our region. In the poem called Port Sudan, The boat went from Kerala through the ocean, and it says, I hear my father's voice on the phone. He wants me to come from America to see him. He doesn't want to die and be put on the earth, my sweet father, who held me high above the water. Through a crowd of laborers, forced to raise bales of cotton to their homes. Someone cried. Someone cried, كيف حالك? You know, the Indian poet saying كيف حالك. كيف حالك is namaste in India. So she is using Arabic words in her poetry to reflect the Indian civilization, sending this very well-known signature to the world, sending the peace, sending the gesture of peace. So, for Kerala, many Omani families originally came from Kerala. Tens of thousands of Indians in Oman are coming from Kerala. You could see the food of Kerala in every Omani city. Even the former Minister of Defense of India, who visited Oman many times, he came from Kerala. You see? So those are usually the main coastal ports that led the interaction and the trade between the two countries. Of course, we cannot forget Gujarat. But the people of Gujarat used to use many other ways to go to Oman.
Thank you, Excellency. We'll take another one or two questions because we are running short of time. Bhagyasri Zena, how Oman's Dukum port helped to strengthen Indian-Gulf relation?
Very good question. This is one of the very good questions. You know, as I said, Oman has always been the most close partner of India because it's a kind of cultural interaction, civilizational interaction, and a futurely vision interaction. As I mentioned earlier, Oman is one of the most important members of the GCC, but still it has this very good relation with India. Oman has a globally recognized position as a state seeking peace and mediation between disputing countries, being a friend, a partner, a potential trade partner, and the everlasting providing India with resources, a trade partner, a trade mover for better military and security and energy stability relation. In this regard, boosting this relation could guarantee a strategic position in the region. I hope that it was enough. You know, Iman?
Yes, Excellency. Very nicely explained. There are few. I think we should take only one question.
Go ahead.
I am reading out all the questions so that you can explain it in a single thing. What are the challenges of maritime relations between India and Oman? Are there any ongoing projects or initiatives aimed at further enhancing maritime cooperation between the two nations? What is the white shipping information exchange with Oman? And why are maritime relations between India and Oman important for geopolitical and security proposition? So I think I have combined all the questions so that you can have a comprehensive answer to all of these questions. Excellent.
I think it was a very good idea of you to combine all things together. So I will be reading some numbers those numbers could give a kind of, yes, there has been always cooperation when it comes to military ties, maritime ties, historical ties. There has been always a readiness for boosting cooperation. Now India is one of the prominent priorities of the Omani foreign policy. With the changes, I just wanted to say that with the changes, the current or the recent changes, now India can join the military operations in the Gulf, can boost the maritime economy, can participate in all anti-terrorism activities and the protection of maritime routes in the region with Oman. You know, the straits there around Oman, energy comes from there. Transportation comes from there. Goods are coming from there. And recently, this corridor I just mentioned that connects India with Europe, it cannot go directly. It's coming through the Middle East. Oman could be the best partner. Oman provided some logistic facilities to Oman, to India, that could be used. Al-Dukum could be used. The power plants, although it's not moving well, underwater could be used. Boosting the trade is a good thing. Balancing the existence of our powers in the region, like China, Oman is important. Balancing the relations with the existence of Iran, Oman, India is there. The Navy, having very good relation between two countries. Security is moving ahead. As I mentioned, His Excellency Doval was there last month. There are goods that could be exchanged between the two countries. Oman could help send energy. India could help send the needs of Oman. Indian products are there in Oman. Oman cooperation is there in India. Numbers, the trade balance is reaching something like $10 billion. That could be boosted more. Training courses are there. Trade exchange is there. What I'm trying to say, under this strategic partnership, the countries agreed upon, many details could be studied. I don't know if this is enough.
This is enough. This is more than enough, Excellency. We are really grateful and extremely privileged to have you amongst us for more than 1 hour. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, on behalf of the University Outreach Cell, we are extremely grateful, and on behalf of the university, on behalf of my Vice Chancellor, on behalf of everybody, we are really privileged and we are grateful to you, Excellency. And I hope this relationship, because you know this university has become home to a lot of Syrian students. In 2019, we have almost close to 150 Syrian students, and this time also we are expecting more than 100 Syrian students in this university. So this has become their second home, and with you at the head of the Syrian embassy here in India. We look forward to your continued cooperation. And with these words, again, I am extremely thankful to both Yara, Dr. Yara, and you, Excellency, and all the audience, and also the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. P.K. Nanda. With these words, I am again extending my personal regards to you also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, His Excellency.
Dr. Sharma, Dr. Nanda, I don't know how to say thank you, because sometimes when you feel you are having a very nice family tie, you need to be emotional. You cannot avoid it. I thank you for everything. I hope it was, academically speaking, a good presentation. Next time we will do much better, I hope.
Yes, and we look forward to convert it into a very good book chapter when the book is going to be published, which will be very eagerly looked after by the researchers. Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the audience.
I have started to prepare the writing for you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My best regards to you all and to His Excellency the Chancellor and the Founder. Wish you all the best. Thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you. So the meeting is over. Thank you.
Thank you so much.